call it overthinking, but it's really your mind begging for control in a world that refuses to be controlled. You sit there replaying conversations, reanalyzing choices, trying to solve problems that only exist inside your head. And somewhere in that endless loop, you start mistaking fear for intelligence. Overthinking doesn't mean you're deep. It means your mind is tired, carrying too many what-ifs, too many unfinished endings, and too many memories that never got closure. At its core, overthinking is a form of self-protection. Your brain believes that if it can predict pain, it can prevent it. But what it really does is keep you trapped, locked in a world that only exists in thought. What we call analysis is often fear disguised as logic. Every overthinker was once a child who learned that safety came from being careful. You watched people argue, saw things fall apart without warning, and decided that awareness equals survival. You became hyper-aware, not out of curiosity, but out of fear. Overthinking is the mind's way of saying, I can't afford to be surprised again. It's a survival mechanism that worked when you were small, but now keeps you from truly living. When you try to control everything, you stop trusting anything, and your mind begins its endless talk, scanning for danger in moments that are perfectly safe. It believes it's helping you, but it's really keeping you away from peace. The tragedy is that it convinces you that you're solving something, when all you're really doing is suffering in advance. Every what-if feels urgent, every scenario real. Yet in chasing certainty, you lose the ability to rest. Peace doesn't come from figuring everything out. It comes from finally accepting that you can't. The overthinker's mind is like a movie projector that never turns off, replaying moments that hurt, editing conversations that went wrong, writing alternate endings to stories already over. You rewrite, relive, and reanalyze, thinking if you get it right in your head, you'll move on. But you don't. Because the mind isn't trying to understand, it's trying to control what it never could. Every time you enter that loop, your nervous system reacts, your heart beats faster, your stomach tightens, and you feel danger even when there is none. That's the hidden cost. You don't just lose sleep, you lose presence. You stop trusting life and yourself, and eventually, you stop living, because your entire life happens inside your head. The loop feels familiar at first, even comforting, because thinking gives you a sense of order. But soon you start craving the chaos it brings, addicted to your own thoughts. Each one gives a tiny hit of control, a small illusion of progress, and the brain rewards thinking even when it brings pain. Overthinking is never just about thoughts, it's about fear. Fear of failure, judgment, and powerlessness. Every what-if is a warning from your past, a message saying, once life hurt you. Don't let it happen again. You weren't born to overthink, you were taught to. As a child, control meant safety. You learned that by watching closely, predicting outcomes, and preparing for every mistake, you could survive. And it worked for a while. But years later, the world has changed and your mind hasn't. The very mechanism that once protected you now keeps you small. It whispers, plan more, analyze more, think harder. But it never says, trust yourself, trust life, let go. The cruel paradox is that you overthink to avoid pain, but trap yourself in another, quieter pain that gnaws at you every day. The truth is harsh yet simple. Your mind doesn't fear failure. It fears uncertainty and letting go. And because it can't accept what it cannot control, It spins endlessly. Breaking the cycle doesn't start with thinking harder. It starts with noticing. Become aware of the loop. Catch yourself before you spiral. And gently remind yourself, this is just my mind talking. Accept that some questions will never have perfect answers, that some outcomes cannot be controlled. Acceptance doesn't make you weak. It makes you free. Ground yourself in the present, the sounds around you, the feeling of your breath, the small details that remind you you are alive and capable of feeling life itself. Then take action. Thinking alone cannot create peace. One small step, a task, a conversation, a choice, breaks the loop and reminds your mind that life isn't meant to be rehearsed. Overthinking will try to return. But every time you step out of its loop, you reclaim a little more freedom. Peace isn't found by thinking harder. It's found by letting go, trusting yourself, and daring to live even when the outcome is unknown. And one day, you'll notice something remarkable. Your mind is no longer your prison. It has become your tool. Quiet,